Hi, and welcome to Comedy Recaps. Today we're going to explore 1983's Private School. Watch out, spoilers ahead. We begin our film by seeing everyone start their usual day at school. But that night at the Academy for Girls, some of the guys jump the fence to get a look inside the dorm. Inside, the girls are going about their usual business of getting showered and dressed. The guys stack upon one another to get up to the window in order to snap some photos. The girl showering notices and cracks a smile. As the guys shimmy over to the next window, the girl from the shower comes into the room and the boy pulls her towel off before they all fall to the ground. Next, the shower girl's friends decide to spend some time playing a prank on another girl whom they've all had problems with. They pull the old poop in a bag on fire trick at her doorstep, and it goes perfectly. Later on, all of the students head to the auditorium for a dance, and we see that Jim asks Christine to dance. The two of them head to the dance floor and begin to dance the night away. Soon, the headmistress comes to the stage to welcome some other administration members and the boys from the nearby prep school. When the band goes back to singing, Christine starts to ask Jim if their first time would be anything like what she read in a book, and he assures her that it'll be great. As the administration members watch the teens dance, they start to notice how inappropriate the mixed couples are, and some of them decide to step in and make them separate a bit. Others seem to be a little interested in what's going on. Jim and Christine keep dancing, but Jordan is jealous and talks to her best friend about stealing him away from Christine. Some of their friends head for the headmistress's office, and it is very clear that they are intoxicated. So naturally, they start to fool around on the headmistress's furniture, and they don't seem to be finishing anytime soon. Suddenly, the headmistress and her administration members walk in, and they get to see the fine quality of students at the school. The next day, the girls come out of the dorm to do their morning stretches and workout. During school, one of the teachers gives a riveting lesson on sex education, and some of the girls start to ask some questions. Soon, the teacher decides that it's time to put on a movie instead of talking about it anymore, and that's the end of that class. Out in the field, Jordan makes her presence known to everyone. But when she sees Christine spending time with Jim, she realizes that she has to do something else to get his attention. Jim and Christine talk about how they are ready for their special night together. And Betsy decides to hop on a horse with her top unbuttoned to get Jim's attention. As an answer to this, Betsy rides up beside her and rips her top off all the way. After riding practice, Jim and Christine head into town to get protection for their big night. But Jim isn't quite sure how to ask for such a thing. His excitement is clear as he runs into the store, but once he starts to look for a pack of dome covers, he gets a little shy and scared. Once he hears about how many different kinds there are, he finds out that he really has no idea how to go about getting ready for this. He gets really confused when the cashier asks what his dentist recommends, and he ends up leaving with a bag of toothbrushes and 0 Jimmy caps. Christine decides to handle this herself, but when she goes in, the cashier gives her the runaround before finding the perfect one. Just as Christine goes to pay for them, she runs into her headmistress and rushes out. That night, Jim heads to the arcade with his friends, and they can't believe that Jim is actually going to get into Christine's pants. When Jim calls Christine from the arcade, she tries to get him to tell her that he loves her. But what she doesn't know is that Jordan is listening in on the extension. When Jordan tells him that she loves him instead, they hang up and get back to playing their games. Christine asks Betsy if she's doing the right thing by sleeping with Jim. But Betsy can't really give her an honest answer because she can't remember actually doing it. The next day at school, Betsy pulls a prank on some of the cheerleaders and their uniforms, which ends up with their pom-poms hanging out in front of the football team. When the headmistress gets a hold of them, she decides to restrict them to the grounds for a week. Jordan tries to beg for mercy since she says she didn't do anything, but that's not good enough. Once the girls leave, the headmistress and coach drink to get through the day. That night, Jim and his friends dress up as women to sneak into the girls' dorm. And it actually works! As they roam the hall, they get a glimpse of all of the women as they parade around the halls in their underwear and birthday suits. Eventually, they run into Jordan, and she definitely sees through their ruse. Jordan snatches Jim and takes him to her room where she tries to make her move on him. Jordan lays it on thick, and it is all Jim can do to keep his hands off of her. After Jordan takes off her top, she makes things really hot for Jim. Elsewhere, one of Jim's friends is getting ready to have his fun with Betsy. But once she mentions foreplay, he dips out the window. It's here that he sees Jim giving Jordan a massage, but Betsy spots him hanging out on the edge. After Jim's friend falls off the ledge, he and Jordan are finally alone. Eventually, she decides that it is a good time to blow his cover. And at that exact moment, Christine is walking inside and finds him standing outside Jordan's door. Jordan screams that he lied to get to see her, and Christine leaves him there on the steps. Meanwhile, Jim's friend has snuck into the girls' shower and locked himself in the sauna to spy on the girls. After all the girls leave, the headmistress shows up to enjoy a nice, steamy sauna. Back upstairs, the coach stumbles around drunk, and Betsy helps her to her room to sleep it off. The coach lies down in Betsy's bed, and eventually, her boyfriend finally gets out of the sauna and heads up to Betsy's room. As he slips into the bed, he slips into something else, and the coach wakes up to realize what's going on. He runs out of the dorm screaming, and all three of the guys meet up at the fence where they realize how defeated they are after their misadventures in the dorm. When Christine goes to her room, she puts away all of the things that remind her of Jim, and we see that he tries to call her from the arcade. Betsy answers the phone, but she lets him know that she doesn't want to talk to him after the stunt he and his friends pulled. He doesn't stop there though. Jim heads to the local florist to get flowers delivered to Christine. But once she sees that they're from him, she throws them away before she can even look at them. Eventually, Jim stops trying to reach out to her, and Christine spots him sulking outside on his car. When he spots Christine's father showing up, he tries to get him to say a few good words about him to her. As the Parents' Day continues, we can definitely see the difference between how each of the girls were raised. One of the parents even hits on Jordan now that he's drunk. As Betsy and Christine walk around, Betsy tries to convince her to give Jim another chance, and it seems to work for the time being. When Jordan's parents pull up, boys surround the car to try and win the parents' favor and catch a glimpse of Jordan's mother. When Jordan goes to greet her father, she finds out that he married another young woman again, and she is absolutely disgusted by him. All of the fathers definitely seem to be there for everyone but their own daughters, and Jordan's father even makes out with the sex education teacher. Meanwhile, Jim makes his way to the event, and Christine finally decides they should talk. Jim tries to reassure her that nothing happened between him and Jordan, and she kisses him and he tells her that he loves her. Back in the parking lot, the headmistress mistakes Jordan's driver for her father, and they head to the back of the car to get a little frisky. She thinks that he'll write the school a big check for getting a little frisky, but Betsy and her boyfriend make their way to the car to turn on the speaker system, while they get it on in the front seat as well. Parents' Day definitely takes a turn, and everyone can hear what's going on in the car. Eventually, the headmistress can hear their voices sounding outside the car, and she discovers Betsy and her boyfriend in the front seat. In a strange series of events, the car ends up getting put into neutral, and it drives itself down the hill towards the pool where the event is being held. The car flies off a ramp and lands right in the middle of the pool. After all of this, Jim and Christine head out to have their romantic evening in the hotel they reserved. Once there, the realization of what's happening hits them as they are taken up to their honeymoon suite. Back at the boys' academy, the boys are betting to find out how one of them can get with Jordan, who has just shown up. As Jordan comes up to the room, some of the other boys hide in a closet, but it becomes clear that she is only there to see Jim. What she doesn't know is that Jim and Christine are trying to have a romantic evening. But Christine isn't feeling very romantic in the hotel room. Jim tries to put some more moves on her. But Christine is drunk and scared. Back at the dorm, Jordan is almost ready to leave, but she gets talked into staying a little longer. After she gets a whole bottle of champagne spilled on her, she decides to get out of those sticky, wet clothes. Downstairs, Betsy comes to see her boyfriend, but when she sees Jordan's car downstairs, she hurries upstairs to find Jordan in his room. Betsy finds out that Jordan is only there to see Jim, but Jordan finds out that Jim is at the hotel with Christine. Once Jordan realizes how many guys are there spying on her, she goes on a little rampage with Betsy. Then we cut over to the beach where Jim is spending time with Christine. After they confess their feelings to one another, they end up spending their romantic evening entangled in each other on the sand. The next day is graduation, and the girls give a hearty farewell with a whole row of full moons in the front row, ending our film. When it comes to 80s comedy, the school setting is an obvious choice, and Private School is the perfect example why. Light, heartfelt comedy can't be beat. If you enjoyed this recap, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss a single video. Thanks for watching.